Thanks for attending the first session of the day. I heard the party last night was pretty wild and went for quite a long time. So I hope everybody's awake and ready to learn about instant games and mainly about what's next on the platform, what we've been up to, and what our plans are moving forward. So before we kick off with that, quick note about me. My name is Joy. I'm part of our games partnerships team based in our London office. I lead our instant games partnerships in the EMEA region. Our team also exists in our Menlo Park headquarters, taking care of our US and LATAM regions, as well as in Singapore, taking care of our APAC regions. And we're really working hand in hand with developers just like you to help you integrate with the tools that we're building. So as part of being on the platform team, we have set ourselves the mission to build the world's gaming community. Now, this is not only our mission, obviously, but also holds true for our product teams and our engineering teams and our marketing teams, really with the idea of building a place and allowing gamers, no matter whether they are casual gamers or whether they are core gamers or whether they like playing games or whether they like watching video game content, to come to the platform and really find the content that they love, that their friends love, and that they like to engage with. In order to do that, we don't only partner with developers, we also partner with content creators. I just mentioned our team works hand in hand with developers to help you integrate with our tools. That is not only for instant games, that also is for our web games platform, that is also for our mobile SDK, that you can integrate into your mobile games to add a social layer to it. And we also have a second part of the team that works hand in hand with gaming content creators. That part of the team works with these influencers, streamers, to help them find an audience on our platform, build communities on our platform, and bring their content to Facebook. So today, I said we're going to focus on instant games. Quick show of hands, who here has already built an instant game, is thinking of building an instant game, has looked into this? Okay, quite a few of you, that's great. So to make sure that everybody is up to speed, Instant Games is an HTML5 platform that lives across Newsfeed and across Messenger. Being HTML5, that means that it should be relatively simple for you as developers to build games and deploy them across platforms and across devices. It also means that they're a very frictionless experience for players. They can go right in, there is no download required, and they can very easily play with friends with the deep social integration that we have built into the platform. There are various game mechanics and genres that we've seen work on the platform. There's a couple of examples I wanted to call out. The first one, I think everybody knows Trivia Crack from Etermax, probably the most popular trivia game on mobile, has made its debut on Instant Games this year, built actually here in their Berlin studio. Again, they have come to the platform with a twist, really thinking about what does a game that needs to be social at its core look like, making it a turn-based PvP, and hereby really embracing what this looks like inside of a messenger context. Another game I wanted to call out is Cookie Crush by Soft Games. You will hear from Alexander right after this. In its essence, Cookie Crush is a single-player game. However, it has a very, very strong social mechanic on top of it, and that is exactly, again, with strong leaderboards, with being able to invite friends and gift friends, a very strong social integration into the platform. And lastly, a very new phenomenon that we have seen rise on the platform, I would say from around November last year, are games such as Name Tests, also from a German developer, where you can see this is the home screen, there's a bunch of questions, you can very easily tap on them, a random result gets generated, and users can share that out to all of their friends inside of Newsfeed, who then click on it and find themselves straight in the game again. So very different approaches, but all with the common denominator that these games are social at their core. So a bit of what has been happening on Instant Games over the last 6 months or over the last year. So not yet a year ago, but at GDC last year, we have announced that we're opening up the platform to all developers. The platform was in closed beta for around 1.5 years. There are a bunch of developers here in the audience that have worked with us as closed beta partners to really help us understand what we need to build to make this platform a success for you. And at GDC, we have announced that any developer, no matter how big or small and no matter where from, can now publish their games on the platform. A little bit after that, we also announced that we're launching an ad unit, really with the idea of allowing developers to acquire targeted users rather than just being dependent on our organic discovery. And as part of that, we have also announced that monetization is coming to the Facebook app. So whether a user finds your game through Newsfeed or Facebook, or whether they find it through Messenger, the game is monetizable no matter from which entry point. Late last year, we have announced the Messenger redesign. Most of you should have seen the, I would say, slimmed-down version of Messenger, really with putting user experience at its front. So that launched late last year. And with that, we have also announced that we are moving our bots platform to opt-in. Every instant game has a bot attached to it that works a bit like push notifications, and just like push notifications, this is now opt-in, again, with a very strong focus on the user experience. And then we're going to talk a bit about what's coming. So what we see at the moment is that the platform continues to grow and evolve. We see the overall audience. We also see revenue growing, which is very encouraging to us and very encouraging to developers. What we also see is that hits keep driving the platform. That's not a very new phenomenon in our industry at all, but it also holds true for instant games. We see that when games with very strong retention localize or really make a push in a market, that market can actually grow for the entire platform and the entire audience. We also see that retention keeps improving. So over the last 6 months, we have invested a lot in building out tools for developers to actually build deeper games. We have also seen our developers actually make bigger investments to build deeper games. And what that means is if I stood here maybe a year ago, I would have said, oh, a 20% D1 retention is fantastic. We have really blown way past this by now, which is very encouraging to see. And lastly, talking about what's next, a very big strategic priority for our team this half is to expand instant games beyond Messenger and really hold true to the initial promise or the initial vision that we had for the platform, which was that it lives across both of our platforms and also in Facebook. So now moving forward, moving into 2019, what we're really thinking about is how we can complete the platform. And when we're thinking about completing the platform, we're thinking about these 3 main pillars. First, acquisition, that is both organic and paid acquisition and discovery. How can we make it easier for users to find games? Then around engagement, how can we make these games more engaging, and how can we make sure that it is easy to find the games that you already played and already love again and again? And how can we really bring the suite of monetization to all the platforms that we have and expand that as much as we can? So talking about acquisition, there has been a bunch happening, a bunch in Facebook itself, but also in Messenger. When we look at organic discovery in Facebook, there are 3 main things that have been happening and are yet to happen. First of all, the groups integration. We have added instant games as an entry point to all gaming groups on Facebook. We already see that there are almost 300,000 gaming groups with more than 90 million active people in them. So 90 million people actually are active in Facebook groups talking about anything that has to do with games. And within these groups, these people can now discover instant games and play them. What you see in the first slide is the Everwing Fans Forever group. Whether these groups are 10 people strong or 10,000 people strong, all members of the group can actually compete in a tournament for the game that they choose, and this gets automatically updated. We have also added instant games into Facebook Lite. Facebook Lite is intended for users on low connectivity or on low-end devices. Again, it should add to the user base. We have added it in a very prominent entry point directly next to Newsfeed in Facebook Lite, and these users can now play the entire suite of games. And lastly, we have also added a gaming destination. This currently lives in the bookmark inside of Facebook. What you see here in the last screenshot is that there are 2 tabs. One is gaming video and one is instant games. Depending on what your preference is, whether you prefer watching our game content creators stream videos or whether you want to play games, this is kind of the one-stop shop for reminders, notifications, discovery, and re-engagement, and there is more to come on this very soon. So as part of instant games being very social, we obviously also are investing into what sharing on Facebook looks like and how that can be a very useful social discovery channel. There are 2 main things we have done, mainly focusing on conversions and feed. The first one is a looking for players unit. What happens here is that Song, in this case, wants to play Words with Friends. He doesn't know who to play with. He doesn't really care that much, as long as it's one of his friends. And he can very easily post this to his newsfeed. His friends can see it, and if they want to play, they can just tab on it and find themselves in a Words with Friends game with Song. Also focusing on conversions and feed, we have added a tap to play overlay to this unit. What you see here is OMG. OMG was played by my friend Aaron Kraus. He shared it to his friends. It shows up in my newsfeed. I can immediately tab on it, and again, the game opens up, and I'm immediately in the game and can share it out from there. Now, I just mentioned Facebook as a very big strategic priority, but we have obviously also done some work on the Messenger side of things. With the new version of Messenger rolling out late last year, early this year, we have also added in-tab units and categories. These in-tab units and categories you see here in the first screenshot really are designed to help more games get discovered and to make it a more personalized experience for the user. So what we now have is trending games, games that you're playing with friends, games your friends are playing to really help users find the right games that they want to play at that moment. We have also added something called presence. If you look at the second screenshot, you see that this is the home screen of Messenger. And the very first conversation is with Bebe, and it says Bebe is playing basketball forever, and next to that there is a games icon. This is what we call presence. We don't have a better name for it. But if I click on that games icon, I actually land in basketball forever directly and can challenge Bebe from there. And lastly, another very prominent entry point is stale thread suggestions. Again, a bit of a weird name. We need to come up with better ones. But what you see here is I'm in a conversation with my friend Zing, and next to the Wave at Zing button, which gets re-enabled if you haven't talked to that person for a while, I can now also very easily start playing Words with Friends with him because this is a game that we were playing together before. So again, another very prominent re-entry point inside of Messenger. There we go. So there's obviously a suite of over 6,000 games by now on Instant Games, and we have gone from around 100 to 150 games before we opened up the platform at GDC last year to over 6,000 games now, which is obviously a pretty big increase. And so we have put a lot of work into our ranking algorithm and making sure that we surface the right games to the right users. So what you see here is kind of what goes into our ranking algorithm. We really are looking at retention, both long-term and short-term retention, and how likely a user is to retain inside of a game. We're also looking at virality. So if a game is very viral, then that's usually a sign that that might be something that is socially very playable. We do look at load time performance. Instant games are supposed to load quickly, so that is definitely a factor we're looking at as well, and how popular it is among friends and among other people. I mentioned before that in June last year we have started experimenting with a user acquisition unit for Instant Games. This is now fully rolled out to everyone. It is built on our mobile app install ads technology. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with that. So reporting and the way they work, the way the mechanism works, is exactly built on top of that. We do use retention optimization in Instant Games. Instant Games is an ads-based platform, and based on that, retention optimization usually helps you find users that monetize better for that type of monetization model. So there's a lot we have done on discovery, both paid and organic, but as I mentioned, there has been a lot of investment on actually engaging users with a focus on long-term retention, as well as a focus on very easy re-entry points, which is something we're going to continue focusing on. We've launched a bunch of new tools, home screen shortcuts for everybody here who is thinking of building an instant game. This is a very important API for you to use. Home screen shortcuts are an incredible retention mechanism, really allowing the user to actually add an icon to their home screen on their phone, which opens up Messenger and brings you directly back into the game. As part of the gaming destination that lives inside of the Facebook bookmark, we have also launched notifications on Facebook. What this means is that I can get notifications, just like the one here from ONG, about who I am, or about that VJ played basketball forever and it is my turn now. So we're making it very prominent and very easy to re-engage from the Facebook side as well. And then lastly, one thing that we have heard from our developers a lot is that users should also be able to play with strangers when their friends are not online, especially for real-time games. We have enabled online matchmaking. That really is a matchmaking mechanism that actually puts two strangers together in a game and allows them to play in real time. We're also currently beta testing offline matchmaking, especially for turn-based games. That was important. So if I take a turn, I say that I want to be matched with someone, and later on somebody else is looking for a match as well, we're put inside of a Messenger thread together and can then play our turns from there. Here's a couple of beta products that we are currently testing. The first one is GIF updates and sharing. You saw a lot on share flows and what sharing looks like in my screenshots before. All of this is currently static. And so as a next step, we are testing out GIF updates, what that looks like when we animate it, with the idea of making video sharing possible in the near future. We are also looking at a rewarded referrals API. The rewarded referrals API is not here to incentivize invites. We do not want that. But If a user invites a friend and that friend becomes an active player in the game, we are considering actually being able to reward that action with the Rewarded Referrals API, which kind of looks like this. Cool. So all of that obviously is great. You can discover games and you can re-engage in games, but all of this wouldn't mean anything if you couldn't actually monetize these games. And so we're looking a lot into how we complete the suite of monetization on the platform. We do have IP enabled on Android and on web, so that is available for all developers by now, so you can start integrating that. We do obviously have audience network-powered interstitials and rewarded videos on mobile, and have very loud and clear heard the feedback that we also need to be able to monetize desktop traffic, and so we have added interstitials on desktop as well. Instant Games is a cross-platform gameplay, and therefore there is a portion of traffic coming from desktop, which is obviously something that should be monetizable, and that is possible now. We are also working on integrating rewarded video inside of the desktop traffic as well, so that the gameplay can really match across the different platforms. So that is coming soon, more on that. And that is it from my side. This is everything that has been happening and will be happening on Instant Games.